Happy Mother's Day, everybody. It is Sunday. We are heading up the mountain. I have my lovely daughter, Araya. Yes. So today she is going to be accompanying me up the mountain. And over there somewhere, I've got Mark from Discord. His last hurrah before he takes off to the Navy. So today we're going to be talking about passengers. First thing about the passengers, and Araya has been well taught. She's been riding with me for years, and what I tell people when I tell them how to be my passenger, first and foremost, is don't put your foot here, because my foot's going to get in your way. We're going to kick feet, and then we're going to probably die. So it's important that your passenger knows to do the balls of the toes there. Keep your feet out of my way. Second thing is before your passenger gets on the bike, for me, I make sure that I'm geared up, I'm braced. And what I mean by braced is I've got my brake in, I got both feet firmly planted, and I give my passenger a nod, letting them know I'm ready for them to get on. We do the same thing when we get off. I hold the brake, I brace my feet, I give a nod, and she knows that she can get off. At no point in between here and there is she to put her feet down. If I come to a stop, she knows to keep her feet up. If she feels like we're about to fall, keep the feet up. If we're going into a lean that she feels might be a little bit too hard, keep the feet up. Trust me to do what I do. If she puts a foot down, that's going to be ugly. So she knows to trust the rider and don't put the feet down until she gets the nod of the head that says dismount. Do what?
You get new mirrors?
Yes, I did. I got new mirrors. I've got new levers, the kind that fold up. I got the rear set pegs.
I noticed some shinies on your bike.
I have my exhaust, and I'm going to put links to all of this in the description. And we get see the links to everything I've got. I got my bar covers, my hand guards, but I took them off so that these can actually flip up. And so I got my bar ends here. Yeah, and I will put links to all of these in the description. All right. Helps to have that up. Okay, squeeze the brake, plant the feet, give the nod. She gets on. We're good. Make sure marker's ready to go. Okay, we're ready to go. Okay. So with having a passenger, with me, what goes on in my head is I keep saying I've got precious cargo. I do everything as close to by the book as possible. I don't want to make any mistakes because my daughter's on the bike. I do have precious cargo. So whereas if I were by myself, I would have jumped out there, and because I can, I'm on a bike, I can. But I'm not going to because I have a passenger. And as you well know, when you're on a bike, you're responsible for your own life. But when you have a passenger, now you're responsible for two lives. All right, here we go. And when you come up to a stop with a passenger, you have to take an account for the added weight. It's probably not very nice to ask your passenger how much they weigh. It doesn't really matter at this point, unless you're talking about suspension. What matters is that you are aware that you have all this extra weight. Coming to a stop feels different. Taking off feels different. Making corners feels different. And it's something that you're just going to have to practice and get used to. There's really no magic button that says suddenly you can do it. It takes practice. And I'll be honest, the first time I took a passenger, I was a bit nervous. Granted, it was my son Nathan when he was like, I don't know, 8 years old, 10 years old maybe. Come on, people, go. But that was, oh, for crying out loud. Okay. He probably weighed, I don't know, about 350 soaking wet. Araya, on the other hand, is turning 15 years old. So you got to take account for your passenger's weight whenever you do anything. You have to start slowing down to these stops a lot sooner than you normally would. Otherwise, you're just going to skid right through that intersection. You have to give yourself even more time and space than you would normally. Because these cars in front of me might check up, and I need that extra time to respond to what they're doing. Now, I say that Araya is a good passenger. What I mean by that is she's a good passenger for me. I have her trained the way I want my passenger to be. Let me tell you what I mean. If she were to get on the back of Mark's bike, let me try that again. If she were to go get on the back of Mark's bike, did it. And if she were to behave the same way she behaves with me, that might not work for him. He may want his passengers to do other things. For example, when I take a corner, I want my passenger to be sitting upright. Don't lean with me, don't fight me, don't lean the opposite way. Sit straight up and down and just don't move. Let me do all the work. If I know without a doubt that I am going to be doing all the leaning and all the work, I can then judge my turn. I can tell how much further I need to push. I can tell how I need to go through that corner. But if I got a passenger in the back who is unpredictable and I go take a corner up in the mountains, I don't know whether my passenger is going to be leaning with me and helping me turn the bike. I don't know if they're going to be sitting up. I don't know if they're going to be intuitive, just or should I say counterproductive by leaning the opposite way. I don't know what they're going to do, and I don't like surprises on the bike. So that's why it's important for every rider who plans to have a passenger to take the responsibility of your life and their life and your bike. Take the responsibility and teach your passenger how you want them to behave. Every rider's different. Just because somebody says, oh yeah, I've been riding passenger for years with this person, with this person, with this person, that means nothing. Say, well, you know what, that's great. I'm happy that you have experience on the back of a bike, but here's how I want you to be on the back of my bike. Because ultimately it is your job as the rider to take that ownership of it. Now, I did not get Araya comms on her helmet yet. I will. It would be helpful if we had comms. That way, if we're coming up to a cattle guard or any other kind of bump in the road, I can just say, hey, lift your butt, bump, and she'll just lift right with me. As it is now, I'm the only person who can see what's ahead and say, oh, bump. Well, I may lift my hiney a little bit, and then she's like, oh, that hurt. Nah. We need to get comms for her. One thing I did notice with having a passenger is when I shift gears, I have to let the clutch out a little bit more slowly than I normally do. Otherwise it gets bumpy, and then we bump helmets. And that's just because of the added weight, I'm sure. So I think I talked about everything I need to talk about having my passenger. Make sure that you have your passengers, and they're all different. Depending on the rider, take ownership of that. For now, I owe Rich a story about how to make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Yes, we're doing this. We are. Okay. If I get quiet during my story, it's because I'm focusing on my ride. Like this. So, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. The big question is, how do you do it? Some people, I guess, will put their peanut butter, let's say you have 2 slices of bread, your left slice and your right slice, right? Let's say you put your peanut butter on the left slice and your jelly on the right. Do you then put the jelly on top of your peanut butter? Or do you put your peanut butter over on top of your jelly? When you take a bite of that sandwich, what's going to go on the roof of your mouth? The jelly or the peanut butter? Huh. Good question. I think the bigger question, though, Rich, is how do you cut your sandwich? Are you a monster who just doesn't cut it at all? Are you a heathen if you cut off the crust? I think Daniel cuts the crust off. I think he said, what a heathen. Or do you cut it straight up and down? Or do you cut it diagonally? The reason why I asked this is because my little sister, shout out to Ashley if you watch this, is when she was a toddler, she used to get so picky about how her sandwiches were cut. Didn't matter what kind of sandwich it was. She believed that if it was cut straight up and down, straight, then that was a boy sandwich. But if it was cut diagonally from corner to corner, that was a girl sandwich. And since she was a girl, she would get very upset if you cut her sandwich into a boy sandwich. She would not eat it. You would have to throw it away and start from scratch. So that was a thing, and it still is a thing. I don't know if she still does it, but we carried that on into my family. We have girl sandwiches and boy sandwiches, depending on how you cut it. So, okay, Rich, how do you cut your sandwiches? Or do you?